establishment Republicans. But then in these hearings, you have people like Ted Cruz, for example,
Right.
who seem to really go after these guys.
They do.
And so that what I'm trying to get at is that
I think it's a show.
You think even Ted Cruz is
I think
just
so.
for
I
show?
think a lot of it, at some point, it becomes just so you see Ted Cruz doing what he's doing, and you could say that he's on him, because there's been some guys, Gowdy, what's his name, first name, Gowdy, he left the Congress, but
Right, yeah, Trey Gowdy.
Trey Gowdy,
yeah.
great guy, I love him, but did they ever really get down to the nitty? They answer some tough, or they give some tough questions and they give him a hard time, but does it ever get anything done? No, that's why I think it's a lot of theater. I really do think both sides are theater.
And so
when I start talking about Trump, I think he'd be better for this country right now, personally. But the bottom line is that until this system changes, I don't think any of it's ever going to get truly good for the masses. We're all going to be fucked with it, basically. This is the word. Because I think we have rights, but they're going to slowly dwindle until we have none.
Right.
And that's the same analogy. That's the same analogy with the frog and the hot,
Right,
and the hot
yeah.
pot. It's like they turn up the heat, and then we accept what they turned up. Oh, that's okay. That's not too bad. And then they turn it up, and so they do it slowly. So we all agree with it, and then someday we're going to find ourselves not having any freedoms at all.
So using that analogy,
And that's extreme, but I think someday that might be true.
right? In sticking with that analogy, would it be fair to say you think like a Biden presidency will allow that sort of strategic slow turn up of the pot?
I think it'll.
And that.
I think it'll happen so fast that people will have their heads are spinning if he's in there.
Oh, okay. So you think that
I think under Trump it'll still remain slow, and I hope I'm wrong in the sense I hope some people go to jail, so it proves that he did try to drain the swamp, but I don't see it. I honestly don't, because someone would have went away already if he was draining the swamp. But maybe he was trying to get reelected, and then he's got. That's what remains to be seen on Trump. But with Biden, no, I think it's going to get worse with them. It's going to get and more quickly than usual. In other words, they're going to turn up the flame. They're going to turn it up real fast.
Right, well, but maybe I didn't ask the question well. But
Okay.
I think what I'm trying to get at, I think, is with Biden, they don't want people to see it, what's happening to them and how they're being manipulated. So they are in a more gradual.
I want to stop you there. I think they think people are so stupid these days that they're not seeing it.
I see.
And it's obvious today. I think it's obvious to a lot of people don't even want to believe it. It's so obvious today what they're going to do. I mean, this presidential run was the most weird. I mean, if you think about the Democratic presidential candidates, Biden wasn't even in there originally, and all these other people were saying what they believe and this believe and blah 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 blah, and then all of a sudden they all drop out and Biden's there. How did that even happen? People don't even ask that question. How did that even happen? And why did he take 4 years off and then do it? And why did, it's just, and then the Burisma thing came up during the impeachment, and people don't understand that's exactly what he was going after, Biden's son. It wasn't that he was trying to collude on the elections or anything like that. It was, and we accepted that whole sham, that whole impeachment sham. It was unbelievable. What a waste of money. I mean, if we want to talk about government spending money, that was a big waste of money. But guess what? Both sides willfully went through it, and it proves that government doesn't work. I mean, our government is really taking advantage of the masses. I mean, I used to be an accountant, man. Just everybody stand up and stop fucking paying your taxes until they get things fixed.
Do you think there's a chance? What are the chances that we emerge out of this situation with America that we recognize, or is it still has a constitution?
I'm starting to be concerned that the youngins, when I'm talking about 20, 30-year-olds, they want this. They're kind of convinced they want this new way. It's not a republic anymore. I think they're convinced that they want to be lazy and equal to everybody else. They want everybody to get social. They want everybody to get like $1,000, $2,000, like a Yang guy was saying, $2,000 a month.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And
the UBI.
People are going for it. It's like, what are you
Yeah.
talking about? That is so anti-American. It's not the way it's supposed to work. And I do believe in some cases. I mean, this is kind of going off topic, but I do believe in social medicine. To some extent. I want to make sure everybody has
like
it.
a safety net of some sort.
Yeah, a safety net, and then So in other words, some social stuff is good,
Yeah, and this is a little bit off topic, but I think we've kind of gone in that direction already.
Yeah.
And I'll make it the last one because I like to keep these around 30-minute stops.
Sure.
When you're talking about the mindset of the younger people, like recently Trump made an executive order against teaching critical race theory in the federal government. Do you see that sort of outlook, that critical race theory outlook, as a part of the reason why young people are...
I don't even know what that is. So
okay.
What is critical race?
Well, it's a bit difficult to...
Is it
It's sort of like, it's what, is kind of colloquially called identity politics. So it's like viewing everything through the lens of race and gender and that sort of thing.
Really? I didn't even know about that. But I knew there was something different about the education these days because, the truth is, people don't understand about racism is this. First of all, to be a racist, you have to have hate in your heart. And I'll bring this to the point where we were talking about, maybe bring up religious, spiritual.
Right.
Racism is hate in your heart. I mean, if you're a spiritual person, I mean, you know to love nature and to love your fellow human beings. And that's how we have to look at each other. But we can't. If we start looking at a race, everybody's going to be like, "Well, you didn't get this, and I didn't get that." We all come from different races, and it's just the idea is the biggest thing for me is to have as long as there's opportunity for everybody, then everybody can find a way. Because if you want to sit back and do nothing, well, guess what? If the Bible speaks of that, you reap what you sow, man. So if everybody's reaping, if people don't understand, if they don't get off their asses. And this is healthy people. I know there's people with disabilities. But if you're a healthy person and you're not getting off your ass, you're not motivated by something, then you're going to be, the one motivation you're going to have is if you're down here, you want to get up there. So let's stop this looking at each other with race. Because the truth is about me, is that not being a racist, when I meet people of other colors and this and that, I forget if they relate to me and I relate to them and I like who they are, I don't even think about color anymore. It's like nothing that. But the one problem is that we read things to color, not character. And I think that's where we've all gone wrong. It's about character. Most people, I could speak for probably most people. They don't have that hate of people. There's no, with racism, there has to be hate. I just don't get, because everybody's going to have what's the word I'm looking for? It's going to be partial to one person or another.
Right.
I mean, do you think I'm a racist because there's some kind of racism because I like my family better than I like strangers? Is that a racism?
Right.
I mean, people are going to like certain people for different reasons. So let's stop bringing up that race. Once we bring up race too much, it becomes like the simple topic of divide.
Divide and conquer, kind of.
And that's what going through my mind's head. I think if everybody's walking around thinking, "Oh, I'm this or I'm that," and people don't like me for this or that, that's that's what people go through in high school, right? And they try to get over it as they become adults. So it's almost like an adulthood, what you go through in
adolescence.
Yeah, it's terrible. I think people need to just in the spiritualism part, if you find yourself, that's the important part, and you become confident in yourself. And when I say spiritualism, I believe in. I'm a Christian. I believe in. There's a God. I think that's what. I'll break it down to the end here. Is I think the far left, Marxism, socialism. That's a godless agenda. And if you live in a godless world, you're going to get nothing but pain. I promise. I mean, it's not a threat. I'm not a threat to anybody, but they got to realize that they're going into a godless world, and they think they can live without a God. No, it ain't going to work.
Right.
It ain't going to work because people are going to be. It's not going to be utopia. It's going to be dystopia. And I think this whole protest thing that went out for Black Lives Matter has proved it. There were some good people that went out and protested, and then guess what? The dark side came in with the rioting and the all this, and they used those murders to create that. I mean, there's no reason to. What you're breaking into buildings and stealing washers and dryers and shoes because some person got shot by a cop? I mean, how does that even relate?
Right.
So they have no argument that it's just bullshit.
Right.
So I know we covered a lot of stuff.
Yeah, no, that's
but
great.
basically, I don't know what else to say. But I'm glad I said the godless thing because I think that's one thing I didn't bring up in the whole picture of it. I do see a godless world,
right?
And people are going to wake up one day and go, wait a second, this place is dystopia. And maybe some people, that's what scares me too. So that's why I said about the 20, 30-year-olds. I think they like a godless world, and I
Right.
don't know how or why.
Right.
And
So, in conclusion, I like to kind of, I'm trying to get people's idea, or what people think is going to happen with the election tomorrow. Who's going to win?
all right, so
like
let me
your
let me give you some actual odds.
Okay.
There's actual odds on this is the Democrats 2-1. So that shocks the shit out of me because the books don't give away money. So in other words, if you bet on the Republicans, you can almost make $2 for every dollar.
Mm-hmm.
If you bet right now on they're not doing it by name, but they're doing it by Republican.
Right.
So it shocks the shit out of me that they put those kind of odds down for the Republicans. I thought it'd be a lot closer. I thought it'd be like even almost. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I just can't see with all these rallies going, with no one showing up at Biden's, and then tons of people showing up at. I've heard two things. This is what I think. I've prayed that it's a landslide, so there's no excuse. Of course, Trump landslide, or two. I prayed for that one, just so get it over with, Trump, and 4 more years, and then just stop bitching and let him do what he's going to do. And then two, there's going to be just a whole month of like counting votes.
Right.
Like with Bush and Gore.
Right.
So,
yeah. All right. That sounds about right. It seems like a tough one to call.
It is. I will.
Yeah.
That's why tomorrow's a big day. I mean, it actually. I literally said this to my brother. He's a Democrat. I said, "This Trump's my birthday."
That's your
tomorrow.
birthday
Trump's
present?
my birthday today. Damn it. Anyway, I'll end it on that. That's a good one.
Beautiful. Yeah. Beautiful. Happy birthday.